Nia Washington transferred to Riverside High in the middle of the school year, one of the only black students in a school where privilege wore Letterman jackets and smiled through polished teeth. She didn't come to cause waves, but simply to finish the year and keep her head down. That changed the moment she walked into prom with Jamal Thompson, quiet, bookish, and the only other black student at school. For Tyler Mitchell and his friends, it was all the excuse they needed. What started as sneers turned into something uglier. They humiliated Nia in front of everyone. Then, they turned their attention to Jamal. What they didn't know, what they never even considered, was that Nia wasn't just some quiet girl from Detroit. She had been boxing since the age of 12. Discipline, power, and precision were built into her very posture. And today, they were about to learn what happens when someone who's been underestimated too many times finally steps forward. Just 3 days earlier, Nia had finished a brutal session at Rodriguez's gym in Detroit, sweat dripping from her brow, gloves slicing into the heavy bag like it owed her something. Now, as she walked the pristine halls of Riverside, floors polished to perfection, trophy cases glowing under white light, she carried more than her books. She carried history. She barely had time to find her locker before the shouting started. "Come on, Thompson, fight back!" Rounding the corner, Nia pushed through a crowd. Phones were already out, recording. In the center, a tall boy, pressed against the lockers, glasses slipping off his nose. Jamal, outnumbered 3-1. Red-faced boys in designer shoes were jeering, shoving, laughing. One smirked, "Maybe if you stopped reading and started working the fields, you'd know your place." Nia's heart pounded. She didn't hesitate. "Back off," she said, stepping into the circle. They turned, their smirks turning sharper. "Well, look what we have here. A matching set." "I'm Tyler Mitchell," the ringleader said, circling her like a lion with a mic. "This is Riverside. We don't take complaints from your type." "My type?" Nia's voice dropped an octave. "You mean students?" Tyler's grin faltered. "No, I mean you people, always showing up, thinking you can change things. This is our school." "No," Nia said, her stance tightening like a coiled spring. "It's a public school, paid for by all of us." "Public doesn't mean yours," one of them muttered, stepping closer. Silence fell for a beat. Some in the crowd shifted. Phones stopped recording. And then Nia's voice, steady as steel. "Say that again!" But Tyler didn't, because even he saw what everyone else missed. She wasn't just here to take it. She was here to end it. "Just welcoming you to Riverside," Tyler said with a smirk, his tone suddenly lighter, more polished. "Right, guys?" Connor and Brad exchanged a quick glance, caught off guard by the shift, but nodded along. "Just a little fun. No harm done," Tyler added, as if the last 5 minutes hadn't happened. "Let's give our new classmates some room." But before leaving, he turned back. "See you around, Jamal. Both of you. Gonna be an interesting year." When the crowd melted away, Nia and Jamal were left standing alone in the hallway, surrounded by torn pages and silence. She bent down to help him gather his books. "You okay?" she asked softly. "You're another black student?" he said, his voice carrying a mix of disbelief and relief. "I thought I was going to graduate as the only one." "Well," she said, meeting his eyes, "not anymore." The next morning, Nia found him at his locker, neatly organizing his books, like they were the only thing he could control. He looked tired, worn. Shadows under his eyes told her he hadn't slept well. "Rough night?" she asked, leaning against the locker beside his. He nodded. "Kept thinking about what Tyler said, about this year being interesting." "Don't let him rent space in your head," Nia said. "That's what bullies do. They feed on fear." "Easy for you to say," Jamal muttered. "You haven't lived it for 3 years. Gum in my hair, locked in closets, tripped in front of everyone. Yesterday was nothing. Nia clenched her fists, anger simmering. And no one stops them? Teachers act blind. Principal Harris says, boys will be boys. My parents tell me to stay focused, ignore it. But sometimes, I wonder if I should just leave. Don't even think about it, Nia said firmly. You belong here as much as anyone. Before he could respond, Connor's voice cut through the moment. Well, well, look who's bonding. He stood there with Tyler and Brad, their formation blocking the hallway like it was theirs to own. Students shuffled around them, pretending not to see. How was your first night in paradise? Tyler asked Nia. His tone was syrupy with sarcasm. Hope the accommodations were acceptable. I know transfers have challenges. You mean new students? Nia said flatly. Exactly, Tyler nodded, oozing fake charm. Big adjustment coming from a school like yours. Brad chimed in with a snort. Bet Detroit didn't prep you for our academic standards. I'm doing just fine, Nia replied, jaw tight. I'm sure you'll fit in, Connor said with a grin. Maybe you can teach Jamal here how to, loosen up. What's that supposed to mean? Jamal asked, already knowing. Come on, man, Tyler said. You're always so stiff. Maybe Nia can teach you some culture. He raised his phone, its camera pointed straight at them. This is historic. Riverside's first official study group. Put it away, Nia snapped. It's a public hallway, Tyler said smugly. I can film. He looked at Jamal. Say something. Maybe rap for us. I don't rap, Jamal said, voice low. Sure you do. It's in your DNA, right? Brad began beatboxing, badly. More students turned to watch. Yo, check it, he mocked. Stop, Jamal snapped, face burning. What's the matter? Connor asked with mock concern. We're just embracing your culture. Nia stepped forward, calm, measured, dangerous. His culture is being valedictorian, she said. While you three are repeating junior year. Tyler's grin slipped, only for a second. Then it returned, wider than before. You're right, he said. Jamal's smart, probably headed to Harvard. Real credit to his people. The phrase dropped like ice water. Connor added, one of the good ones. Nia saw red. Her fist shot forward, but Jamal caught her wrist mid-swing. Don't, he whispered. They want this. They're recording. Tyler grinned. Look at that. Already learning restraint. The bell rang. Students scattered. Tyler adjusted his jacket, still smiling. See you around. Study partners. As the hallway cleared, Nia and Jamal stood in silence. But something had shifted, because now they weren't alone. The hallway emptied, leaving only Nia and Jamal standing in the tension of what had just happened. Both were breathing hard. That was smart, Nia said quietly, stopping me from hitting him. I've learned how this game works, Jamal replied, still shaking as he gathered his books. They say the most disgusting things, then cry victim the second you respond. They record, edit, twist everything, make it look like we're the problem. How do you deal with that? I tell myself it's temporary, he said, voice hollow. One more year, then I'm gone. Scholarship, new start, far away. But now, they've got someone else to target too. I'm sorry. Don't be, Nia said without hesitation. I chose to step in. Why? He asked, still crouched beside her. She paused, thinking. Because where I come from, we protect each other. Because you're smart, kind, and no one deserves to face this alone. For the first time, Jamal smiled, small, cautious, but real. Thanks, he said. I forgot what it feels like to have someone in your corner. But as they entered their classroom, Nia caught Tyler and his crew in the back row, already watching them, eyes like crosshairs. Something told her this wasn't over. But Jamal wasn't standing alone anymore. By late March, they'd built something that looked a lot like friendship and survival. Every morning they met at Jamal's locker, Lunches were spent in the library. After school, they walked to the parking lot together, watching each other's backs. It didn't stop the harassment, but it made it easier to face. They glued my locker shut again, Jamal said one morning, prying at the door with a credit card. Third time this month. Did you report it? To who? Principal Harris told me last week maybe I should just try being more approachable. Nia's jaw tightened. Your parents know? Some of it. My mom's documenting everything. Photos, notes. Wants to file with the school board, but my dad thinks we should wait. Build a solid case. Jamal finally forced the locker open, another crude drawing inside. Sometimes I think they forget I'm the one who has to live through this. Every day. They passed a wall of prom posters. A night under the stars. All last year's photos, white faces in tuxes and gowns, glitter everywhere. 6 weeks away, Nia said. You actually thinking about going? Jamal asked, incredulous. Yeah, why not? He stopped walking. Nia, you've been here 3 weeks. You don't get it. Last year, the only black girl who went had her dress ruined. Accidentally spilled punch. She cried the whole night. So we don't go alone, Nia said. We go together, watch each other's backs. You want to go with me? Not like a date, just 2 students refusing to let this school push them out. Before he could answer, Tyler appeared, flanked, as always, by Connor and Brad. Well, deep in discussion, are we? Tyler asked with fake cheer. Nothing that concerns you, Nia replied. Oh, but everything concerns me. I am student body president. His eyes scanned their faces. Talking about something special? Spring formal? Or something a little more urban? We were talking about prom, Nia said evenly. Tyler's eyebrows lifted. Prom? How charming. A true Cinderella story, assuming you can afford it. Tickets are $200, Connor added, plus tux, dress, dinner. I'm sure they'll figure it out, Tyler said. They're very resourceful, maybe carpool with the cleaning staff. Jamal clenched his fists. My parents earn more than yours ever will. Of course they do, Tyler replied, patronizing. Your dad's a doctor, right? Bet he had to work twice as hard just to be seen. That one hit hard. Jamal looked down, face flushed. Leave him alone, Nia stepped in. We're not here to impress you. Tyler smiled like a cat watching a cornered bird. I support you, really. It's brave. Prom can be a lot. Wouldn't want anyone to feel out of place. Yeah, Brad chuckled. Not sure the country club vibe is what you're used to. We'll manage, Jamal said through gritted teeth. I'm sure you will, Tyler nodded. You two are very adaptable. As they turned to leave, Connor called back. Can't wait to see the prom photos. Gonna be a historic moment for Riverside. The hallway suddenly felt colder. The room was too bright, too polished, too full of eyes. Nia felt the weight of every stare, some curious, some laced with the same twisted amusement Tyler and his crew wore like badges. Now do you see why I didn't want to come? Jamal whispered beside her. No, Nia said calmly. Now I see why we had to. They want us scared, quiet, hiding. So we show up, we shine, we laugh, we dance, and if they try anything, we face it together. Prom night arrived in a blur of fairy lights and forced elegance. Riverside High had transformed a hotel ballroom into its idea of a night under the stars. Nia's deep purple gown made her feel powerful, while Jamal looked crisp and confident in a rented tux. You clean up well, Thompson, she teased. So do you, Washington. Ready to prove a point. They walked in side by side, heads held high. Whispers followed them, but so did silence, the kind that clears a path. For a while, things felt almost normal. They danced, laughed at the DJ's awful jokes, even tolerated the overpriced food. Tyler's crew lingered at the edges, watching, waiting, Then Nia found herself alone by the punch table, waiting for Jamal. That's when Tyler appeared, quiet, uninvited, cologne heavy in the air. "Having a good time, princess?" His voice was smooth, but his eyes were sharp. "It's fine," Nia replied, not looking up as she poured punch. "You look exotic. That dress really brings it out." Her grip tightened. "I said I'm complimenting you. You could at least say thank you." He stepped closer, too close. "You don't have to settle for guys like Jamal. I could show you what a real man looks like." "Get away from me." "Don't be like that. Just one dance. Show everyone how open-minded I am." "I said no." She stepped back, but he followed, fingers brushing her arm. "I bet you're wild when you want to be." "Don't touch me." Her voice rang out, sharp enough to turn heads. That's when Jamal arrived. "She said don't touch her," he said, stepping between them, voice shaking with fury. Tyler raised his hands in mock innocence. "Whoa, relax. Just chatting?" Looked like harassment from where I stood. Connor and Brad appeared like shadows, flanking Tyler. "I was being polite. Maybe where you're from, you don't recognize good manners." "Maybe you don't recognize the word no," Jamal snapped back. A circle was forming now. Students watching, phones out. "Careful, Thompson," Connor said, grinning. "You're sounding pretty bold for someone who usually hides." "Yeah," Brad muttered. Maybe that punch was stronger than he thought. Tyler turned up the volume, playing for the cameras. "Hey, no threats here. Jamal's just protecting his girl. Respect." The false sincerity made Nia's skin crawl. "We don't want trouble," she said, holding her ground. "Just space." "Of course," Tyler said sweetly. "You two enjoy your evening." As they walked away, Nia heard Connor mutter something vile, followed by snickers. "You okay?" Jamal asked, his hands still trembling. "I'm fine. You didn't have to do that." "Yes, I did. Nobody touches you like that." They tried to enjoy the next few songs, dancing and laughing like every other couple. But Nia should have known Tyler wasn't finished. "I need the bathroom," she told Jamal during a loud track. "You good? I'll be right here." The bathroom was quiet, a break from the chaos. Nia lingered, collecting herself. Back outside, Jamal stood by their table, checking his phone, unaware of Tyler, Connor, and Brad closing in. "Well, look who thinks he's a hero," Tyler said, voice darker now. "I don't want trouble," Jamal said, unsure. "Too late." Connor grabbed his arm. "Let go." "Not here. Let's talk. Somewhere quieter," Brad said. They led him toward a side exit, away from the music, away from the crowd. Jamal scanned the room, but nobody met his eyes. Everyone either danced or looked away. "Where are we going?" he asked. "Just somewhere private," Tyler said smoothly. They shoved him through a service door into a dim hallway used by hotel staff. The music faded behind them. The hallway felt like a trap. "Now we can talk," Tyler said, loosening his tie. "Talk about what?" Jamal backed against the wall. Tyler's smile turned cold. "About respect. About knowing your place." "You think you can humiliate me in front of the whole school?" Connor hissed, stepping closer to Jamal. "Nobody makes Tyler look bad. Nobody." "You made me look like some kind of predator," Tyler added, his voice now cold and flat. "Like I was harassing your precious date. I was being friendly. You turned it into something ugly." "You were harassing her," Jamal said, trying to hold his ground. Tyler ignored him. "Time you learned what happens when you make people like me look bad." The first punch came fast. Connor slammed his fist into Jamal's ribs, knocking the wind out of him. Then Brad followed, driving his shoulder into Jamal and sending him into the wall. "Nothing personal, Thompson," Tyler said casually, like he was commenting on the weather. "Just business." Jamal tried to fight back. One wild punch grazed Connor's jaw, but it was no use. He had never been in a real fight, and 3 against 1 wasn't a fight. It was a message. "You done yet?" Tyler asked as Jamal slid to the floor, his tux torn, blood running from his nose. "Please," Jamal gasped, clutching his ribs. "You'll stop when you learn your place," Brad said, driving a final kick into his side. Then they straightened their jackets and walked away like nothing had happened, back onto the dance floor, their alibis airtight. By the time hotel staff found Jamal and called a chaperone, Tyler and his friends were laughing near the photo booth, posing like royalty. Nia found him in the hotel's first aid room, her stomach turning at the sight. Jamal sat slumped on a plastic chair, holding an ice pack to his face while Mrs. Patterson scribbled half-hearted notes on a form. "What happened?" Nia demanded. "Mr. Thompson says he fell down the stairs," the staffer replied without looking up. "Probably just a little too much excitement for one night." "That's not what happened," Jamal said quietly. "Do you have proof?" she asked, still not looking up. "Any witnesses?" Jamal looked at Nia, and she saw it in his eyes. The exhaustion, the resignation. "No," he whispered. "No witnesses." As they left the hotel, something in Nia hardened. The system hadn't just failed them. It had never been for them in the first place. Monday morning arrived like a slap. Nia found Jamal at his locker, the bruise on his cheek poorly hidden by concealer. Students passed with smug smiles and whispered lies. Heard he got wasted at prom. Finally got what was coming. Should have kept his mouth shut. "How are you holding up?" she asked. "I've been better." His voice was hollow. "My parents want to press charges, but the school says I can't identify my attackers, not in a dark hallway. And Tyler, Connor, Brad, all seen on the dance floor. Dozens of witnesses. This is insane." "Knowing and proving," Jamal said, closing his locker. "Not the same thing." His mom called Principal Harris, but the meeting went exactly how Nia feared. Harris barely looked at them as he flipped through papers. According to the report, Jamal fell. These things happen. Kids get excited. He was beaten, Dr. Patricia Thompson said, every word razor sharp. "Look at his face." "I see some bruising, yes," Harris said blandly. "Consistent with a fall. The cameras in the ballroom show no signs of assault." "What about the hallway where it happened?" Nia asked. "There's no coverage there. Unfortunate, but common in older buildings." "How convenient," Dr. Thompson said coldly. "And Tyler Mitchell? I assume his presence is well documented?" "Photos, witnesses, all confirm he and his friends were on the dance floor." "So we just ignore the rest?" Dr. Thompson said. "Even though this is part of a pattern that your staff has ignored for years?" Harris's smile vanished. "Perhaps if Jamal were more approachable, he'd have fewer issues. Sometimes students bring this on themselves." The silence after that was suffocating. Dr. Thompson stood, her composure terrifying in its clarity. "Did you just suggest that my son deserved this because he doesn't know his place?" I didn't mean it like that. This is 2025, Mr. Harris, not 1955. No need for threats." "That wasn't a threat," she said, lifting her purse. "That was a promise. I'll be speaking with the school board." That afternoon, Nia found herself at Iron Will Boxing Gym, a hole in the wall she'd discovered not far from campus. She didn't come to train, she came to release. Her fists pounded the heavy bag with raw fury, each strike louder than the last. "Easy, kid," Coach Martinez said from the side. "That bag didn't insult your mama." "Sorry," she muttered, yanking off her gloves. "Rough weekend. You want to talk?" So she told him everything. The harassment, the prom, the principal's response. Martinez listened in silence. His face, once calm, grew darker with every detail. "Those punks think they can do whatever they want." Nia nodded. "Jamal says fighting back just makes it worse." "Sometimes," the coach said, crossing his arms. "Worse is exactly what's needed." "Sometimes nothing is worse than something," Martinez said, meeting Nia's eyes. "You get me?" "What are you saying?" she asked, already knowing. "I'm saying your friend needs more than sympathy. He needs to learn how to stand. And you're gonna teach him." "You want me to train Jamal?" "I want you to give him options. Right now, all he knows is how to take a hit. That's not enough. Bullies only respect one thing: strength." Nia hesitated. "If we fight back, we'll get expelled. Only if they catch you. And from what I've seen, that school doesn't seem too eager to catch anyone but the wrong people." That night, Nia called Jamal. Her voice was calm, but her words were about to change everything. "Boxing lessons," she said. "I can barely do a push-up." "Coach Martinez says that's fine. You don't have to be Ali by next week. You just need to stop being an easy target." Jamal paused. "Even if I learn, what's the point? If they jump me again, 3 against 1, no training will save me. Then we don't let it be 3 against 1. What are you saying, Naya?" "I'm saying we stop playing by their rules. They want us afraid? Fine. Let's see how they like the feeling. This isn't about revenge, Jamal. It's about balance. The school won't protect us, so we protect ourselves." There was a long pause. Then Jamal's voice came back. Different, focused. "When do we start?" "Tomorrow. After school, Iron Will Gym, and Jamal, bring sneakers. You're gonna sweat." When Nia hung up, she didn't feel scared. She felt ready. They had tried playing it clean, tried being perfect, tried waiting for someone to care. But perfect victims just bleed quieter. 3 weeks into training, Jamal wasn't the same person. His posture was firmer, his walk more grounded. The nervous energy that once surrounded him like fog had been replaced by something steady, something earned. "Keep your hands up," Nia shouted across the gym as he hit the heavy bag. "Tyler's not going to wait for you to get warmed up." Jamal threw a clean combo: jab, cross, hook, solid, focused, not flawless, but real. Coach Martinez gave a nod. "Starting to move like a fighter, not like someone waiting for help." "I still don't feel like a fighter." "Fighting isn't a feeling, kid. It's a choice. When the moment comes, you move." While Jamal caught his breath, Nia pulled out her phone, scrolling through their growing archive of videos. Tyler shoving Marcus Williams by the gym, audio of slurs in the hallway, vandalized lockers, torn books, silent teachers. It was a pattern, documented, consistent, brutal. "Look at this," she said, showing him the video from that morning. Same routine, different victim, every week. "We should show someone," Jamal said, but his voice was thin with doubt. "Who? Principal Harris?" Naya shook her head. "He doesn't even pretend to care." "The board? They won't meet. The teachers say they didn't see anything. We're collecting all this. But for what?" Coach Martinez leaned over from the bench. "That's your problem. You're still thinking like prey." "We're gathering evidence," Nia protested. "For what? A courtroom that doesn't exist? You keep waiting for justice to show up. But sometimes it has to be taken." Across town, in the Riverside High parking lot, Tyler lounged against his BMW, scrolling through comments while Connor and Brad flanked him. "Yo, look at this," Connor said, showing a video. "Someone posted a clip of Thompson and Washington leaving school. Check the comments." Tyler read aloud, "Power couple, Black Panthers. Watch out, Tyler." He snorted. "Heroes, please. Thompson's still a joke." "And Washington? Just angry because she doesn't get how this school works." Connor nudged him. "Isn't that them over there?" Tyler looked up. Naya and Jamal were loading gym bags into her car. They moved differently now, more upright, more silent, less afraid. "Where you think they're going?" Brad asked. "Probably some community center, dance class or something." But even Tyler didn't laugh. Something about the way they moved now. It wasn't the same. It gnawed at him. "Let them pretend," he muttered. Reality has a way of reminding people who's in charge. But even as he spoke, a flicker of something crept in, something foreign to Tyler Mitchell. Doubt. Back at Iron Will, Nia showed Jamal how to hide his phone camera while recording. "Hold it like you're texting," she said. "Natural, casual. That's the trick." Nia held her phone like she was just scrolling, but the camera was rolling, catching everything. "They're so used to being untouchable," she said. "They don't even bother hiding anymore." "What's the end game here?" Jamal asked. "We can't post this without getting expelled." "Maybe," Nia replied, "but maybe getting expelled is worth it if it means exposing the truth." "That's easy for you to say. You've been here 2 months. I've got 2 years of perfect grades riding on keeping my head down." She looked at him closely. "You're scared." "I'm terrified," Jamal admitted. "But I'm also done. Done being afraid. Done pretending this is normal." "Then let's change it." Before she could say more, her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "We know where you train." She showed Jamal. His face went pale. "How did they get your number?" "Doesn't matter," Nia said, voice steady though her hands trembled. "What matters is they're watching us." Coach Martinez had overheard. He glanced at the screen, then nodded grimly. "Looks like it's time to speed things up." "Speed up what?" Jamal asked. "Your training," Martinez said. "You've been waiting for them to strike. Maybe it's time you decide where this ends." That night, they made their choice. No more waiting. No more playing by rules that only protected the wrong side. The plan was simple and dangerous. They would bait Tyler's crew into showing their true colors on camera. Public, undeniable, unignorable. "You sure about this?" Jamal asked, adjusting the miniature HD cam clipped inside his backpack, a loan from his dad's clinic. "We need real proof," Nia said, checking her phone. "Not stories, not rumors. Footage." Their trap was set during lunch. Jamal walked past Tyler's table, pausing just long enough to make eye contact. Tyler noticed immediately. "Look who's feeling brave today. That black eye healing up, Thompson?" Jamal stopped, nervous but grounded. "It's fine," he said. "Oh, I bet it is," Tyler smirked, standing. Connor and Brad rose with him, closing in. "Come on, man," Tyler said loudly. "We're all friends. Tell us about this new gym routine. Very inspiring, very urban." Students nearby chuckled uncomfortably. Others just watched, silent. "We're just working out," Jamal said. "Of course," Tyler said, stepping closer. "Never know when you'll need to defend yourself." Jamal's hidden camera caught every word, every sneer, every witness looking the other way. "I don't want any trouble," he said. "Nobody wants trouble," Tyler replied. "But sometimes, trouble wants you." That's when Brad's eyes caught something, a faint glint on Jamal's backpack. "Tyler," he said sharply. "Look." Tyler's smile vanished. He stepped closer, then saw it. The lens, the trap. "You little snake," he growled. "You're recording us?" The cafeteria froze. All eyes turned. "I don't know what you're talking about," Jamal said, but his voice cracked. Tyler yanked the bag open. The camera fell out, still recording. "You set us up!" Tyler shouted. Murmurs spread like wildfire. "How long?" Connor demanded. "How long have you been filming us?" "We weren't filming," Jamal replied, louder now. "We were documenting harassment." "Harassment?" Tyler barked. This was friendly conversation. You twisted it. You threatened me. Lies. You made us look like criminals." Nia stepped in beside Jamal, holding up her phone, her camera openly recording. "That's because you are." Brad lunged, snarling. "Give me that." "Don't touch me," Nia warned, but he wasn't listening. He reached for her phone, and that's when everything snapped. Nia's training kicked in. One step back, one fist forward. Her punch landed cleanly in his solar plexus. Brad folded, crashing to his knees. Gasps rippled through the cafeteria. Phones flew up. The entire room exploded with noise. And for the first time in years, the power dynamic shifted. Students stood on tables to get a better view. Phones were everywhere. The room erupted. "You want to fight?" Tyler screamed, all his polished control gone. "Fine, let's fight." He swung, wild and fast, but Jamal ducked. Weeks of training had sharpened his instincts. Connor lunged next, and suddenly the cafeteria turned into a full-scale brawl with 200 stunned witnesses, and half of them filming. Teachers stormed in, shouting orders nobody obeyed. It took school security minutes to separate them, but the damage wasn't physical anymore. It was viral. "My office! Now!" Principal Harris bellowed. As they were marched out of the cafeteria, Naya saw phone screens everywhere, videos uploading, shares climbing, hashtags forming. But she also caught Tyler's eyes, and in them something darker than anger. Strategy. "You think you're smart?" he hissed. "You have no idea what you just started." Nia looked straight at him. "Neither do you." She was right. Because whatever this had been, school drama, hallway tension, whispers, it wasn't that anymore. The balance of power at Riverside had shattered, and something new was rising in its place. Something no one could predict. All of them were suspended for 3 days, but that was the easy part. Back home, Nia sat on the couch watching the fight video spread like wildfire. The comments section was a war zone. "Black girl thinks she's a hero." Finally, someone stood up to Tyler Mitchell. Typical behavior. Those kids were brave. Behind her, Naya's mother, Angela Washington, paced like a storm barely held back. "I'm proud of you," she said finally, "but recording them like that, you cornered them." "They cornered themselves," Nia replied. "They're the ones who went too far. That's not how they'll see it. And it's not how their parents will either." Her phone buzzed. "Unknown number. You made a big mistake. This isn't over." Her blood chilled. She showed it to her mom. Angela immediately called the police, but when the officer arrived, his tone was predictably bland. "Could be anyone. Teenagers talk, unless there's a clear threat." "What do you call this isn't over?" Angela snapped. "I call it drama. And your daughter started a fight. Maybe let things cool off." Across town, in a polished living room, Tyler Mitchell faced a different kind of fury. District Attorney Michael Mitchell paced like a man watching his career slide off a cliff. "I'm running for State Attorney General," he shouted, "and you are trending on every platform looking like a thug. They set us up. They were recording. I don't care if there were drones filming it. You handed them the perfect headline." Tyler's mother, Patricia, sat motionless, her expression unreadable, strategizing. "We need damage control," she said finally. "A statement. Maybe some community outreach. Show Tyler volunteering." "I'm not doing charity work," Tyler snapped. Slap. Michael's hand connected hard. "You'll do exactly what I say, or military school will seem like a vacation." Tyler touched his cheek, humiliated. But what scared him more was his father's next words. "We'll handle this. Quietly." And that was how the Mitchells had always done it. Not with rage, but with control, with silence, with power. At Riverside, the air was different. Nia walked through the hallways as something new. Not just a student, a symbol. A freshman girl stopped her at her locker. "You were amazing," she whispered. "Can you teach us how to fight?" Nia hesitated. "I don't want to teach people how to fight. But you showed them they can't walk all over us anymore." And suddenly the weight of it all pressed down. She just wanted to defend Jamal. Instead, she'd become the face of something bigger. Jamal appeared, just as shaken. "Counselor wants to see us," he murmured. Mrs. Patterson sat behind her desk with a pleasant expression that didn't touch her eyes. "I've reviewed the video," she said. "I understand you felt provoked, but your response was inappropriate." "They were harassing us," Naya said. "According to who?" Patterson asked, tilting her head. "The video," Jamal said, his voice cracking. "You can hear them. See them?" "I see students having a conversation," she replied coolly. "Maybe a bit too spirited." Nia stared at her in disbelief. This wasn't over. It wasn't even close. "When you decided to stage this little spectacle," Mrs. Patterson said coolly, "you crossed a line." Her voice was honey over knives. "The fact that you brought recording equipment shows premeditation. You planned this." "We planned to document harassment," Naya replied evenly. "You plan to embarrass your classmates for online attention," Patterson snapped. "I'm recommending both of you for transfer. You clearly don't belong at Riverside High." The words hit like a sentence. "Transfer to alternative education, a polite way of saying you're done here. College dreams, scholarships, futures, all hanging by a thread." "You can't do that," Nia whispered. "I can, and I will, unless you agree to some conditions." "What conditions?" "Public apology to Tyler and his friends, written admission that this was a staged incident for social media, and a promise to end this little crusade." The air left Nia's lungs. The system wasn't just ignoring them anymore, it was punishing them for standing up. "No," she said. Mrs. Patterson froze. "Excuse me?" "I said no. We're not apologizing for telling the truth." The smile vanished from the woman's face. "Then you'll face the consequences, both of you." As they left the office, Nia realized something with terrifying clarity. They were at war now, and the school had chosen its side. Elsewhere, Tyler paced behind the gym like a caged animal. Rage twisted in his chest. His name, his family's name, had been dragged through the mud. His friends hovered nearby, unsure how to handle his unraveling. "My father won't even speak to me," Tyler snapped. "And you want me to just let it go?" Brad glanced down. "He said to stay low. Let them handle it. He doesn't know what it's like to walk these halls and be laughed at. Me, Tyler Mitchell." His fists clenched. "I built this school, my reputation, and they destroyed it." "So what are we doing?" Connor asked, though he already knew. Tyler's eyes gleamed. "We remind them what it means to cross me. And this time, everyone's gonna see it." What Tyler didn't know was that his father, District Attorney Michael Mitchell, had already begun quietly cleaning up the mess, pulling strings, calling in favors, calming donors and board members. The Mitchells had never relied on chaos, but Tyler still thought brute force made you king. "There they are," Brad said, pointing toward the lot. Nia and Jamal approached her car, laughing, talking, gym bags slung over their shoulders. They looked calm, confident, like winners, and Tyler hated it. "They look so smug," he growled. "Let's fix that." "Man, what if they fight back?" Connor said weakly. Tyler laughed. "Jamal, please, and Washington's just one girl." They moved like predators, slipping from behind the shed, closing in. Tyler felt power returning with every step. "Going somewhere special?" he called out. Nia and Jamal turned, and Tyler froze, just for a second. There was no fear in their faces, only resolve. "We don't want trouble," Jamal said, but his stance was solid now, balanced. "Too late," Connor muttered. Tyler stepped forward. "Do you know what you've done to my family? My father's career is on the line." "Good," Nia said coldly. "Maybe he'll think twice before raising a son like you." "I'm not racist," Tyler exploded. "I just know where I belong, and where you do." "And where's that?" Nia asked. "Beneath us," he hissed. "Always has been." Jamal stepped up. Then it's time you learned what standing up really looks like. Tyler gave the signal. They spread out, the same triangle they'd used on countless victims. Last chance to walk away, Nia warned. Tyler laughed. From you? Never. He swung. Connor charged Jamal first, wild and angry, but Jamal had changed. He ducked under the punch and drove his fist into Connor's ribs. The sound was like a drum. Connor staggered. What the? A left hook followed, snapping his head sideways. Blood appeared at the corner of his mouth. Connor dropped. Tyler and Brad turned on Nia, circling, unsure now. And then Nia moved. 2 against 1, Nia said with a smirk, bouncing on her toes. Still not fair, for you. Tyler growled and lunged, but she sidestepped his wild punch and landed a crushing jab to his solar plexus, folding him in half. Brad rushed in, catching her shoulder with a glancing blow that spun her, but his grin was short-lived. He wound up for a finishing punch, a haymaker with all his weight behind it. Nia rolled with it, bracing on her forearm, then exploded upward with an uppercut straight to his chin. Brad's feet left the ground before he crashed flat on his back. Across the lot, Connor slammed Jamal into the gym wall with a linebacker's charge, knocking the breath from his lungs. Not so tough now, huh? Connor sneered, grabbing his shirt and lifting a knee. But Jamal twisted just in time. Connor's knee struck brick instead of ribs. He screamed. Jamal's elbow cracked into the side of his head, dazing him. Jamal broke free, but Connor's wild backhand caught him across the face, knocking his glasses off. Jamal! Nia shouted, momentarily distracted. Tyler pounced, tackling her to the pavement. They tumbled, fists flying, but Tyler ended up on top. Finally, he rasped, raising his fist. Time to remind you of your place. But Nia wasn't done. Her knees were free, and one shot upward with brutal precision. Tyler collapsed, choking on pain. Brad lunged again, but Nia swept his legs, dumping him beside Tyler. They scrambled up, circling her like animals. She breathed hard, but steady, in control. You're stronger than I thought, Brad muttered, blood running from his nose. You're weaker than I hoped, Nia replied, then attacked, left to the ribs, right to the jaw. A final hook knocked him into a parked car. But Brad wasn't done. Desperate, he grabbed gravel and flung it at her eyes. Nia blocked, but the second wave hit, and Brad tackled her into the side of Tyler's BMW. The breath fled her lungs as he drove a fist into her stomach. Jamal and Connor were still locked in a brutal grapple by the shed. Connor got behind him, choking him out. Give up, he wheezed. But Jamal didn't. He drove elbows into Connor's ribs over and over until the grip broke, then spun, planting a clean right cross into Connor's jaw. Connor hit the pavement and didn't get up. I'm done giving up, Jamal said, breathless but steady. Nia, gasping, regrouped. Brad threw everything he had left, but every swing was blocked, countered, neutralized. Her movements were a blur of training and fury. And Tyler watched it all from the ground, stunned, wounded, helpless. The king, dethroned. This isn't happening, he muttered. We always win. Not today, Nia said, stepping toward him with quiet fire. That's when a voice thundered through the lot. What the hell is going on here? Everything stopped. Coach Martinez stood at the edge of the lot, face like thunder. Behind him, a security guard and several stunned teachers. Everyone back off, Martinez ordered, pulling out his phone. I'm calling the police. And as sirens screamed in the distance, the illusion of power shattered. Officers arrived within minutes, sirens wailing, lights flashing, radios buzzing. The parking lot became a crime scene. Stay where you are, Officer Rodriguez barked, one hand near his holster. He scanned the scene, 3 beaten white boys, 2 battered black students still on their feet. Tyler stumbled forward, bloodied and breathless. Officer, thank God. They jumped us. "That's not what happened," Nia said through a split lip. "They attacked us." Connor wheezed. "We're the victims here. Look at us." Rodriguez's expression was unreadable. But Nia had seen this story before. She knew how it usually ended. Until Martinez stepped forward. "I've got the whole thing," he said, holding up his phone. Everyone froze. "I was in my office when I heard yelling. Started recording when I saw them corner these two kids. Got the threats, the first punch, everything." Tyler's face drained of color. "That's not possible. Modern phones have amazing zoom," Martinez said coolly. "Wanna hear?" He hit play. Tyler's voice rang out. "Beneath us, always has been." Then Connor's punch. Rodriguez watched in silence, his jaw tightening with every second. "Well," he said finally, "this changes everything." "You can't use that," Brad shouted. "That's illegal." "Actually," Martinez replied, "it's a public space, no expectation of privacy, perfectly legal." Backup arrived. Paramedics began treating wounds, and Detective Alvarez stepped onto the scene with quiet authority. The fight was over, but the reckoning had only just begun. Detective Sarah Williams had handled hate crimes for over 15 years. She didn't rattle easily. "Let me get this straight," she said, flipping through statements after watching the footage. "You three approached these students, made racially charged remarks, and then threw the first punches?" "We were just talking," Tyler stammered, his polished confidence unraveling. "They escalated it." Williams raised an eyebrow. "Son, I've got high-def video that says otherwise." She turned to Nia and Jamal. "You two need medical attention." "We're fine," Nia said, though her split knuckles told another story. "No, you're not," Williams said, with a rare note of admiration. "You just held your ground against 3 attackers. That takes guts." Paramedics began assessing injuries as Williams gathered statements. Tyler kept muttering about how his father would handle this, but the threats sounded hollow now. "Your father's the district attorney, right?" Williams asked calmly. "Good. Then he'll understand exactly why hate crimes need to be prosecuted. Thoroughly." Across the lot, the scene swelled. Parents arrived, school officials followed, media vans pulled in, summoned by the wave of live footage now flooding social media. Martinez's video had already gone viral. Dr. Patricia Thompson arrived first. Her presence cut through the noise like a scalpel. "Jamal," she said firmly, "not another word without counsel." She turned to Williams. "I want these 3 arrested. Assault, hate crime enhancements, all of it." "Already in progress," Williams said. Moments later, Tyler's parents rolled up in a black Mercedes. District Attorney Mitchell stormed out, his professional mask cracking when he saw his son in handcuffs. "This is outrageous," he barked. "My son is the victim here." "Your son," Williams replied coolly, "is under arrest for aggravated assault and intimidation, on camera, in color, with audio. I'll have your badge. Feel free, it's already viral. Might be hard to spin this one." Mitchell paled as the weight of the situation hit him. The optics, the politics, his career, slipping through his fingers. Principal Harris showed up moments later, pale, sweating, and furious. "This could have been handled internally," he muttered. "Like the prom incident, or the years of ignored reports?" Williams shot back, holding up a file. "We've got plenty now." More squad cars pulled in, reporters crowded in, microphones were out. Headlines were forming. DA's son arrested for racist assault. Viral video exposes years of abuse at elite school. Nia stood watching Tyler being loaded into the back of a police car. His once perfect look was wrecked. His face, for the first time, looked uncertain. "Justice feels real today," she told a reporter, her voice clear and unwavering. Connor and Brad followed next, their parents arriving just in time to watch their sons taken into custody. The footage had made it undeniable. 3 against 2, provocation, violence, slurs. But now, the story was different, because this time, the victims fought back, and the world had seen it. As the last police car pulled away, Coach Martinez placed a firm hand on Nia's shoulder. "You did good," he said. "Both of you. Sometimes standing up is the fight." Dr. Thompson stepped forward, eyes bright with purpose. "The DA's office will have to recuse themselves. This case is now with the State Attorney General." "What does that mean?" Jamal asked. "It means," his mother said calmly, "they're going to prison. And this school is now under federal civil rights investigation." That night, as the sun dipped behind Riverside High, Nia stood quietly, processing it all. The fight had been about more than survival. It had been about dignity, about refusing to shrink, about rewriting the rules in a place that had always been stacked against them. And finally, the system had to listen. Months later, Nia returned to the same parking lot, but it wasn't the same place. The maintenance shed, once Tyler's lair, had been transformed into a quiet meditation space. There were benches now, surrounded by vines and wooden plaques carved with quotes about justice and resilience. Riverside High had changed. Principal Harris, gone. Replaced by Dr. Angela Martinez, a former civil rights attorney who made it her mission to tear out the school's toxic culture by the roots. 3 teachers were dismissed for ignoring years of complaints. A new policy mandated immediate response to discrimination. Reporting systems had gone digital and anonymous. Mandatory training was in place, and Tyler, Connor, Brad, serving 18 months in juvenile detention, expelled, no college, no deals, no special treatment. The new Riverside wasn't perfect, but it was different. It was better. And for the first time since she'd stepped onto campus, Nia didn't feel like she was surviving. She felt like she belonged. District Attorney Mitchell had resigned in disgrace. His career, once full of ambition, was over before it had even truly begun. The scandal didn't just break his public image. It shattered the legacy of a family that had once seemed untouchable. "Feels strange, doesn't it?" Jamal said, appearing beside Nia in the courtyard, his posture upright, his presence steady. The boy who used to walk with his shoulders curled inward now stood tall, calm, and sure of himself. "Quiet," he added, "but the good kind." Nia smiled. "Did you hear about the settlement?" The school district had been ordered to pay $2.3 million after a civil rights investigation confirmed years of systemic negligence. Half of the funds were earmarked for a new anti-bullying and equity initiative. The rest was divided among the students who had suffered in silence. "It was never about the money," Jamal said. "It was about being seen, being heard." Nia nodded. "My mom wants me to use our part for college. MIT doesn't exactly come cheap." Jamal's eyes lit up. "You got in?" "Full scholarship. Engineering." She nudged him with her shoulder. "What about you?" "Still pre-med?" "Actually," he said, smiling, "thinking about switching to civil rights law. Turns out, I like fighting for the right reasons." As they walked toward the main building, students passed them with quiet respect instead of whispered judgment. They weren't feared. They weren't dismissed. They were acknowledged. "You ever regret it?" Jamal asked. "Fighting back, I mean. All the fallout." Nia considered it. The headlines, the hearings, the endless retelling of what should have never happened in the first place. "No," she said after a moment. "I regret waiting so long. I regret that so many others had to suffer before someone finally said enough." He looked around the hallway where it all started. "But they heard us." They had. Students of color walked with ease now. Teachers intervened. The bullying hadn't disappeared, but it no longer had a safe place to hide. The school paper had launched a new column, stories from students who had once stayed silent. Not anymore. "Remember when we thought graduation would never come?" Jamal said as they reached his locker. "Now it's 2 months away," Nia replied, leaning against the wall. "Think you'll miss this place?" "Parts of it." The parts we helped change. Jamal organized his books the same way he always had, but everything else about him was different, stronger, sharper. You ready to move on? Yeah, Nia said, but I'll never forget this chapter. Their story had gone far beyond Riverside High. Invitations to speak at schools, conferences, and education panels rolled in. Their fight had become a blueprint for students, for administrators, even for lawmakers. Maya asked if we wanted to meet this weekend. Jamal said casually, "Study group for AP History." "Perfect," Nia replied. "I need help with the Civil War section." Jamal smirked. Pretty ironic, considering. Nia laughed. Her voice echoed through a hallway that once felt like a battlefield. "Do you think we won?" Jamal asked. She paused, looked around. At the calm, at the community, at a place still healing, but no longer pretending. "Yeah," she said. "I think we did." They walked to class side by side, battle-tested, bond-forged, and ready for whatever came next. Some stories end with closure, others begin again with possibility. Theirs felt like both, and somewhere behind them, a freshman watching from a distance straightened his back, inspired by what he'd just seen. Because courage once sparked doesn't end, it spreads.